Hello!
You there, and welcome to another episode of
A Spoonful of Theatre,
Singapore's only theatre podcast.
I'm TJ, theatre practitioner, director and performer.
And I'm Sam, a teacher of language, literature and self-proclaimed show business lovey.
This is our podcast where we spill the tea on all things Singapore theatre.
It's tea time, and today's episode is titled Kaye, Sera, Sera.
Because we are interviewing the award-winning actress, Mina Kaye.
Yes, it is our pleasure to welcome Singapore's very own musical theatre star who has featured in countless unforgettable performances, but is now closing that chapter and leaving Singapore for good.
But for now, pop the kettle on,
Grab a bicky,
and let's add a spoonful of theatre to sweeten up your day. Hello, Sam. How are you?
I'm fine, darling. How are you?
I am good. I'm enjoying life at the moment. We're almost at the summer.
Yes.
Lots of wonderful summer plans coming up. Cruises and travelling around Europe and such things. Are you also looking forward to the summer?
I really am looking forward to the summer because we've just had the Eurovision Song Contest.
Of course we have.
And that, for me, every year is the moment that summer is around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And this year's Eurovision was absolutely phenomenal. Dear listeners, if you know nothing about the Eurovision Song Contest, go Google it, go YouTube it, and I believe you me, you'll be converted in 10 minutes flat. It is a phenomenal show, phenomenal production. But yes, summer is right around the corner.
And, you know, I give you your Eurovision and I give you Gaga in Singapore the last few weeks because I was absolutely amazed by that show. It was theatrical and I genuinely, one of my favourite concerts I've ever been to, and I like Gaga, but I was never a huge fan. But watching the theatricality of what she put on that stage, it's inspiring, honestly. It was so great.
I was more interested in the theatricality of the fans.
Oh, it was great to see everybody born this way and show their little monsters.
Do you know, and I don't mean this as a criticism, but I did not expect to see those sort of costumes on the streets of Singapore. And there are a lot of them, which is a fascinating thing to see. It shows that art and music, and it's making people come out of their shell.
And, you know, it's a space to be. And I think that's what, you know, I think music can give you that, theatre can give you that. And, you know, when Global Superstar comes here, you know, people go, well, let's go for it.
Yes, absolutely.
Speaking of superstars, we have a superstar coming in today as well, don't we?
Yes, we do.
We have the one and only Mina Kaye. A beautiful career that she's had, amazing shows, such notable roles and amazing award-winning roles as well. I've known her for a long time. I've worked with her at Sing Theatre. I've directed her in professional shows. We've performed alongside each other. And I know there's a lot of interesting stories behind there. And more than that, she's leaving.
Yes, when you told me that you'd arranged this, but you said, Sam, there's a twist. She's leaving Singapore. What? What? Why? And you said, we'll find out. And I'm thoroughly looking forward to this. I really am.
I think it's going to be a very interesting episode. So, shall we find out why she's leaving?
Let's do it.
And we are joined by Mina Kaye.
That was what an intro that was.
I don't need my jingles anymore.
No.
So, audience, you know her. If you're listening to this podcast, absolutely you will know of this fantastic award-winning performer.
Yes.
Our second award-winning female performer in a row.
Yes.
Isn't this exciting?
Yes.
Well, anyways.
Hi.
Hi, Mina.
Hello.
Hello, how are you, darling?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Yes, it's such a pleasure to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much for
And I've not
having
seen
me.
you for so long. Where have you been hiding?
Hiding? I've been busy. I've been mothering.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Because you had number 2 recently,
I had
didn't
number
you?
2. My number 2 is now 2.
We're talking about a child, right? Not anything else, just to confirm.
Oh, and forgive my memory. Boy, girl.
Boy.
And how's he getting on?
He's good. He's talking a lot. He stole my voice. He's
Oh, really?
basically Ursula.
Oh,
I'm no longer singing, but he is. So.
Oh, fabulous. Also, it runs in the family then.
I guess. I'm seeing this like he wouldn't shut up and he's just constantly singing and constantly wanting to perform and be on stage. And I'm like, no, you're only do?
I mean, you are a performing family, aren't you? You're
Not
like-
really. I mean, my firstborn is a little bit more shy. He's more into maps and navigational stuff.
really?
Yeah, very. Yeah,
That'll come in useful when he's a teenager, though. Like, going on holidays.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's already learning the ropes while going on holidays with us.
Splendid.
Yeah.
And so, what sort of stage mum would you be?
I would
having
never be a stage mom. Never put any of my children through that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
Yeah.
because you've seen that all, haven't you? I mean, you're not just a performer; you're also a teacher as well. So
Yeah.
you've seen both sides of
Yeah, for sure.
how's that been as interacting with stage mums and all those expectations and wants and
I don't know if I know any stage moms personally. I've heard of them. I've seen them. I know friends of friends, but I don't know if I know anyone who's like deliberately pushing their child on
right.
stage. But I've heard of, parents like that, and I'm like, no way in hell, that's the last thing I want. Even for my students, my adult students, they ask me for like tips on like, how can I break into the industry and what's your advice? My first thing is, don't. Do not put yourself through that. And I always say, make sure to check in with your mental health before even trying to break in or pursue this, because it is a tough industry.
really.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, passion is not enough. Passion, going to school, like, you can have all of that, but like, first and foremost, you have to take care of yourself.
Really,
And yeah. so
have
I-
you had those moments where you've really had to like check in on yourself before?
Well, I don't know. I think I've been really lucky. Like, to be fair, I've been really lucky to be able to, do, I mean, like the past, how many years have I been in this? Like 15 years, 12 years, whatever.
Right.
To have work, which is a blessing. So, I mean, I'm sure I've tried to audition and do my best, but I think it's, I came to a point in my career where people just trust you and trust your work, so work just keeps coming, which I'm very blessed for. But I do know of friends who go through that, that rejection phase, and I have been through that as well in my early years. This was like LaSalle days, like when you're still auditioning for stuff and people don't know who you are. So yeah, definitely I've been through the whole constantly getting rejected and not knowing why. And I think I posted about this on my Instagram. I want to say Facebook. Oh my gosh, I'm such a boomer. I did post this once on my Instagram about when I was living in Boston, about how, being rejected doesn't mean that you are terrible and you're not talented, but it's just not the right fit, And I think I talked about auditioning for Hamilton, because I didn't even go to the open call, but I got called to go to the callback straight away, just because you're the right type. So that was what I was trying to prove in that. And it's a tough business. Even though you went through the callbacks instantly, they just drop you like a hot tamale, right? Because, compared to, they're comparing you to the other actors that they have, and then, realize that you're not quite the right fit, compared
So
to...
when were you in Boston?
I was in Boston for, I did my master's 2014. This was after I did Little Voice.
Oh,
Yeah, so after Little Voice, I flew to Boston, and then I was there for, I think, almost 5 years.
Right,
Had
right.
my first baby there.
right.
Yeah.
And what brought you back?
Mom.
Your mum or
My
you?
mother.
Oh.
My mother. So my mother is the Singaporean, so she had health issues, and we needed to come back to help her. But she passed away last December.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
That's
that.
okay. So yeah, I don't really have any other family here in Singapore. She was the only one. So off we go.
And well, on that,
On that.
Hey, Sera.
Sera.
Thinking back over the last few years, and now you're kind of now you're moving on to new pastures. I think we'll talk about the new pastures later. It's gonna be exciting.
For sure.
But what would you say is one highlight of maybe this? How far do we go back? Do we go back to LaSalle? Do we go back just this time since you came back from Boston? I'll let you
Yeah, I
decide.
don't know. Yeah.
What's the highlight? If you can say, I'm so glad that I did this in my career. What was the highlight?
I definitely think I was not expecting to develop or start / whatever a career in Singapore, because and I tell this story to everyone. I was living in LA with my sisters and bouncing back and forth Canada. And I was trying to apply for Ryerson University for their acting program. And I got rejected. So I came back here because mom was based here. So came back here, and then I just started doing tap classes with Miss Tiffany Wrightson for fun. And she was the one that told me about LaSalle. She was like, hey, I teach at a musical theater school in Singapore. You should apply. I'm like, musical theater in Singapore? What is this? You know, like, what kind of a hoaxy school is this? So I applied, and everything started rolling from there. We had like a phenomenal like team of like faculty members during the time that I was there, and I think a lot of them really helped me, you know, sort of build who I am today as an actor, or you know, help me, you know, break into the industry. So I'm so thankful for every single professors, teachers who has ever taught me at LaSalle. You know, they really taught me to like. They really broke me down and then built me back up again. I could not understand for the life of me what they were trying to do at the time. And of course, I was resentful at the time, but so thankful that I had that experience. And it just springboarded me into doing this. And it just happened so quickly, you know. I think after graduating from LaSalle, I did like 16 productions in the span of 2 years. Nonstop. I was rehearsing for a show in the day and then like doing another show at night, like back to back to back. It was nonstop. And then I did my very last show before flying off to Boston, where I did my master's in musical theater at the Boston Conservatory.
Splendid.
Which is now under Berkeley. So
Oh, right.
yeah, so I think that I would say is definitely a highlight, like an unexpected highlight, because I went into drama, like, or musical theater, I guess, not really as like I can't say that really. Not so much, or not completely as just my passion, but I wanted some sort of therapy, you know, and drama school, any drama school, is a safe space for you to do that. And which is why I love, you know, mentoring and teaching this craft to adults and young adults in general, because I think as you get older, you build up so many, you know, based on life experience, you build up so much, like, I don't know, you build a wall, you know, and you don't want to, you're afraid to let yourself go. You're afraid to express yourself. You keep quiet about it because, you know, your boss says this and your parents say that and your spouse says this. So I feel like drama in general is like a safe space for you to just be, to explore emotions that you're not allowed to explore, you know, in society. You can't just like scream while running down the street. People will put you in jail, you know, that sort of thing. So I always thought that drama was like a nice safe space for you to do that. And I think my experience at LaSalle, or even at the Boston Conservatory, was that it was very therapeutic. So I always say, like, me getting you know, gigs and jobs is kind of like a bonus, because I think I used that time to sort of work through myself, to understand who I was as a person, and I'm still discovering today, you know, but I think it's a good, like, safe space for you to explore, and you're allowed to be human. You're allowed to feel the feels and go through the entirety of the human emotion in a safe space without being judged, which I appreciate. Yeah.
There's something to be said, if you don't mind me jumping off the back of that, of any sort of creative output, whether that be art or sculpture or writing, or of that catharsis, is that the right word? Of being. I'm so glad you used that term, that being, that being authentic, and we've talked about this before, playing as well, having that opportunity. You know, we're adults, but we still like to play.
Yeah, we do. We're just big people.
Yes.
And, like, you know, we're still kids at heart, really.
Yes,
and
yes.
people fail to acknowledge that sometimes. They're like, I'm a grown-up, you know, but no, not really. At the core of it.
But that doesn't mean anything nowadays.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
I mean, do you consider yourself grown up? I'm not. I'm definitely not grown up.
Definitely not.
Yep, not at
But
all.
I think what's really interesting, drama also does attract, like, I remember for me, kind of similar to what you said, drama when I was a kid was my safe space.
Yes,
and, you know, I think
right?
drama is that space for kids that do need a safe space in different ways. Not that life outside was dangerous in any way, but like you find your community.
Exactly.
And a community that understands you and lets you just be a bit silly
Absolutely.
and try do things and it does that honestly makes the best actors to me,
Right.
you know. And I think do you use your performances now as in the same way, or has it turned into something new as a job? Because obviously training in early days of drama versus job now, does it feel, how has that changed for you in terms of those feelings towards the craft?
You know what? I think doing just studying musical theater or drama or theater in general, it's such a transferable skill. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can do this, you can do anything. You can do this, you can do a job where you have to talk to people. You can do this and you can be a teacher and be a super swing, you know? So I think it's so transferable where you learn people skills and life skills and observations. So it's a lot of, you know, jobs in general, it's about copying and learning. And that's what you're doing as an actor, right? You know, you're copying and you're learning and you apply that to different things that you do. So I feel that anyone who has had training in drama, I won't be surprised if they end up being like a variety of different things. I don't know if I'm answering your question.
No, absolutely. I just want to jump on the copying and learning because obviously we've done many shows together and we've had many ups and downs together.
Yes.
But the copying and learning is something you said to me. I remember when you were talking about Little Voice and Judy and End of the Rainbow and that sort of thing. You're very, very good at character mimicry as well, and I know that is a big part of your early inspirations, right? So how does that play into your craft?
You know, it's so interesting because when I was at LaSalle, I got told off for doing that because so all my teachers are like, why do you want to be the next Bernadette Peters? Why do you want to be another Patti LuPone? Because we already have that. Can you be you? I'm like, who's me? You know, I didn't know who I was. So I latch on to all these different, you know, my idols, my Broadway, my favorite Broadway stars. So I go through periods of like, I'm going to be this today. I'm going to be Sutton Foster today. And tomorrow I'm going to be Stephanie J. Block. Tomorrow I'm going to be Bernadette Peters, you know. So I'm always latching on to these like different Broadway actresses who inspire me through their performances. And without even knowing, it automatically translates through my performance. And then, of course, the really smart teachers can, you know, pick that out. And they were like, stop being Sutton Foster, you know, or stop being Bernadette Peters. You know, there's already one. So I remember being told by a specific teacher that said, don't copy because you're not original. But that's something that I always struggle with. And even till today, I tell a lot of people, like, I am not a true theater practitioner. I am an actor. I'm a mimic because that's my skill. Like, you want me to come up with something original? I'll fail terribly at that, you know? So even at school, like when we had to come up with our own like cabaret project, like it was shit. I don't know if I could say that, but it was so bad because I didn't know what else to do but be the actor that I am. And I'm going to create a cabaret about me auditioning for a show, you know? And it's so cliche, but that's all I know, you know, whereas all these other, and I always admire my classmates and their creativity. Like, how did you pull this out of your ass? You know, this is so cool, you know, and I can never do that. But then I hear, you know, the opposite where people go, how do you do that? How do you mimic this? I'm like, I don't know. It's just, I watch and it just comes out, you know? So, but that's what I've been doing since I was a child. Like I would watch TV and go, I could do that too. And then I just did it. So it's all I know. So when people tell me that that's like a skill that not many people have, to me, it's kind of, it doesn't make sense to me because it's like, I thought everyone does that. I mean, everyone watches TV. Everyone would repeat lines and then you just change your voice a little bit, right? It's a skill that everyone knows. And they're like, no. And then I had my program leader at the time at LaSalle told me, because I got a little self-conscious because like if I don't, you know, borrow these I don't know, techniques or styles from these artists, I don't know who I am anymore. What do I do? And then he said something that was really that really stuck out to me. He said, everyone it's art. Everyone borrows something, you know, so you're not just copying, I guess, you know, everyone borrows something from everyone else. And if you think about these theater practitioners, you know, it started with Stanislavski, who was the theater practitioner, but then you have Strasberg that took a little bit of Stanislavski, and Meisner took a little bit of that too, and then they sort of created their own thing, right, based off of this original thing. So it's got to come from somewhere, and I think I understand that very well. And I think since then I'm like, you know what? It's not a bad thing. Like I can have a mix of, you know, who I want to be, and if people suss that out, then I guess they're smart enough to identify that. But then it eventually worked in my favor because I eventually ended up doing 2 shows where I had to freaking mimic divas, you know, which was Little Voice and End of the Rainbow.
Oh, can we talk about it? I'm dying to.
He has been. This has
Oh
been.
my
He's
goodness.
been waiting to. Have
I
this
have been
conversation.
waiting. I'm surprised you brought it up so early.
You know how big of a Judy Garland fan
Oh,
he is.
I do.
Yes.
I
So-
remember the time when you found out that I was playing Judy. You're like,
It was a dream come true for so many reasons. I had missed this play in London.
oh, okay.
I remember it being in London when I was at home during the cruise ships, and it was at Trafalgar
Oh,
Studios.
cruise ship bell. Ding, 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 ding.
And I just did not have the chance to go. And I
Right.
thought, I am literally the biggest Judy Garland fan you'll know, and I'm going to miss a show about the end of her life. I was
Right.
gutted. And then when I heard the news, I'm like, oh my God, this is a dream come true. And when I saw you, which was the first time I saw you professionally on the stage
Right.
as well. I mean, I'd known you as a performer,
Yeah.
but it was the first professional show I'd seen. Same with
Right.
Andrew Marco as well, funnily enough.
Ah.
I was in absolute... When you put on that beautiful dress by the wonderful Leonard Chu, I happen to
Yes.
add, and the hairstyle... And one thing with Judy is the mannerisms. You had them down to a T.
I hope so. I hope I did that show justice. I hope I did her justice.
The big question I want to ask is how? How did you prepare for that?
Well, I was very lucky that I had a whole year
Right.
to prepare for this, because initially this was COVID, right?
Yes.
In the midst of like going back to theater, so we were supposed to do this show a year earlier, but then because of COVID and some of the other shows got pushed back at Pandemonium, they had to postpone the show till the following year. So I'm like,
Right.
oh great, an additional year for me to graduate with a BA in Judy Garland, right? So literally it was a lot of, and I think it was you that gave me, or TJ, you ripped some movies off of
Oh,
it
yes,
for me,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I had your whole collection.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I was literally like watching them and studying her. I had to read both her memoirs. It's literally getting into, you know, what is it like being Judy Garland? And it was also quite interesting. The more I dug deep into her, she's quite similar to my mom, not in a good way.
Oh,
but yeah,
interesting.
so I saw a lot of her in my mother, which
Oh.
was kind of scary at times because. So I know exactly what it was like because I grew up with that.
Right,
You know, I
right,
grew up
right.
observing that behavior in my own mother. So that helped in a sense. And of course, her mannerisms and all that, that's all, you know, copying and learning and
Yes.
just like doing it over and over. But yeah, so yeah, when I play Judy, I'm not me anymore. I just become her.
Do you have a favorite Judy song?
Oh my goodness, it's been so long. I definitely enjoyed the trolley song.
Yes, yes,
always.
yes.
That's a classic. And I think, of course, Somewhere Over the Rainbow,
Of
because I had
course.
to sing it in 2 different shows.
Right,
You know,
right.
as a little voice. I don't know. So it sort of came full circle in a
Yes.
way. You know. So that's really special because I think singing it in End of the Rainbow compared to when I was singing it in Little Voice, I've grown since then, and it has a completely different meaning to it. And then thinking of it from like Judy's point of view, it's like, oh my gosh, that was like, oh, that hurts, you know. So it's she never got her End of the Rainbow.
No, she didn't.
never. Yeah, she never saw what rainbow, you know.
Yes.
Poor thing.
Yes.
I think it's really interesting you're talking about Judy never got her rainbow.
Yeah.
I think we're all constantly searching for what that is for us. You know, like what
absolutely.
is our journey to the perceived end of the rainbow, which
Yeah.
all keeps changing.
Yeah, absolutely, and it changes as you get older too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
What's your current rainbow?
My current rainbow is. Oh, well, that leads into why I am leaving, right? I don't know. I think it's just to find a place where where me and my family can feel belonged and part of, you know. And it hasn't really been this way. Not in the theater community. I mean, it's a whole separate thing now. It's just society, you know. And I think, you know. On a completely different topic, like people in the LGBT community can probably feel the same way, but differently. So for me, it's more of, as you get older, you discover so many things about yourself. And, way later in life, I discovered that I'm neurodivergent, right? So therefore, I also have neurodivergent children. So, you start to realize, oh my gosh, your whole life suddenly made sense. And you finally understood why you never, feel belong. You feel like an alien almost, like where do you fit in? And especially in a country like Singapore, it's as beautiful and as safe as it is, it's stifling, for people who need support, and I don't get that, children who need accommodation, and they don't get that. So it's been a struggle, at least for me and my family, but it's great in a sense where it's like, oh my gosh, my life finally makes sense. But then for a young child, for my child, I feel like I'm going to repeat this generational trauma if I put him through, this system here that doesn't, support that. So yeah, I guess my end of the rainbow is finding a place where we can feel accepted and belong. And it's a society thing, because I think the way, society is being, people are being brought up here, you're bound to think a specific way. You're bound to behave and react to specific situations because that's all you know, and it's not your fault. It's the way the government wants to, build this society, and that's fine too. Yeah, so I think it's just finding that sense of belonging and having support, which is completely lacking for me and my family at this time.
Discovering that recently, as you said, for yourself, reflecting back, how do you kind of look at your career, and maybe has arts helped with that unknowingly?
Absolutely.
Because as teachers, I think we can all, and I see it every day, that actually children and people with neurodivergency actually relate so much better in arts, because it is, especially theatre, it's a space where you can become something else in a safe space. And I do find the students that I teach that are neurodivergent flock to drama,
right?
In that way.
And then you see the same kids act up in their regular subject classes, and then in drama they're a completely different person. That was me as a kid. So like now also, being a teacher, I see that and I'm like, oh my gosh, the problem wasn't me, it's the environment, So where can I find that environment so I don't have to put my child through that trauma, so they don't have mental health problems when they grow up, because I have to navigate that right now as a grown-up, as an adult. But because I'm older and I have the capacity and the maturity to deal with that, I just don't think it's fair to have my children go through that. You know what I'm saying?
It really puts me in mind of Sir Ken Robinson, who was sadly, he died a few years ago. He was a god of education, and during one of his many inspirational talks, he talks about education really sucking out the creativity of children. And not all kids are academics.
No,
they
not at
really
all.
are not. And he tells this wonderful story about this student who was, she had ants in her pants. She could not sit still for love nor money.
Still, right?
And so they took her to see a psychologist or something like that. And the girl was sat there, and the professional said to the mother, "Just come with me for a moment." He put the radio on, walked the mother out, and then said, "Just watch through the window." And the girl started dancing on the spot, and she said, "Your daughter hasn't got ADHD. She's a dancer." And then she became, I'm trying to think of the name, but I can't for the life of me. She became really big in the Royal Ballet or something like that.
I know this is a very familiar story.
Yeah, and it's such a wonderful story. And I completely agree with you both. Not all kids are academics.
No.
Some prefer to move, work with their hands.
Yes.
And
don't be afraid of alternative options.
Yes.
Like I wish I had alternative options. I wonder what my life would have been. I wonder if I would have better coping skills, if I could, regulate my emotions better as an adult, had I had that opportunity, to go through an alternative path. But there was no alternative path, because of course parents, my own parent, are so worried, like, okay, but where's your math and your English and and your university? I'm like, who cares? All these kids are eventually going to work for a CEO. Who's going to be the CEO? People who don't go to school, who have
true.
the alternative learning, right?
Yes,
So,
very true.
right? So these are the kids that are going to be the leaders. And it is, not surprising you, as you mentioned, a lot of these kids in drama, a lot of people in our industry, I kid you not, they're probably a lot of undiagnosed adults, and a lot of us are neurodivergent. It's just that we don't know it yet. And it could be a slew of different things: dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADHD, all sorts of things. We are all neurodivergent in a way where our brain just doesn't function the way somehow society thinks is the right way to function.
I would argue it's because we're expecting brains to work as they did 70 years ago.
Yeah, weird, isn't it?
But our brains are more stimulated than human history.
Yeah.
And we can't continue to apply. I'm going into very theoretical.
No.
We can't continue to apply the same expectations.
No.
And
the world is changing.
yes, yes. AI is a big thing. I love AI.
Yeah.
And
it's like
long may it be continued to use in education.
Yeah. So rather than teach the kids their math and their English, teach them how to give prompts to AI.
Yes.
That's what you should be doing.
Yes. Now, this since we're talking about education here, I do have an interesting question. You there, yes, you, listening right now. We have some breaking news.
We have got our first exclusive discount for an upcoming Singapore show just for our ASOT listeners.
Yes, and it's a production by the Winter Players, William Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing.
Yes, we've featured them previously on the channel. They are an up-and-coming collective that focus on bringing old works into the Singapore scene with up-and-coming actors.
Yes, and they are having a 2-weekend run from the 12th of June to the 22nd of June, and it's playing at SOTA Studio Theatre.
And we have an exclusive 15% off just for you. So listen up. You need the code ASOT15. That's ASOT15. And that will get you a 15% discount if you check out on Eventbrite with that code. So thank you for listening to A Spoonful of Theatre.
And now it's back to the show. How have you juggled being a teacher yourself, being a performer, but also being a mother as well?
Right.
They are 3 very tough jobs.
Oh my gosh.
How have you juggled all 3?
I don't know. Like, Lord help me every day.
And they're young children as well. They're very young
They're
children.
young and they have a lot of needs as well on top of that, I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's really one day at a time. And also keep in mind, I'm not doing everything full time. Well, mothering, yes, but I'm not really doing everything full time. Performing is just whenever there's something, and all teaching as of now is whenever I can, because my priority is still being a mother. I'm not going to have kids just to chuck them in daycare all the time, I actually want to mother my children and to bring up decent human beings, So my priority right now is first and foremost a mother before anything else. And so if people ask me like, wait a minute, why aren't you performing as much? Or why are you not teaching full time right now? I'm like, now is not the right time. How long are my kids going to stay kids? There's a time for that. I can always go back to it. It's going to be there, but my kids won't always be kids. So that's why. Yeah.
Well, I understand. Yeah.
So with the performing, obviously you've had a few years where you've not done as much as the 16 shows in 2 years. Is that, obviously mothering is really important now, but what's the dream in terms of performing? Because I think we all start out with these big dreams of one day I want to be on Broadway, or and we both know that as teachers that we try and temper those dreams. But do you still have those kind of dreams and ambitions, or is your life evolving in a different way?
Definitely evolving in a different way. I feel like I'm so ready to close that chapter. Although a lot of people have told me, nah, you're gonna go back to it when you get older, when your kids grow up. I'm like, maybe, I don't know. But right now I'm happy where things have unfolded. I'm like, at least I'm not gonna be one of those mothers where I did not fulfill my dreams and I'm trying to do that through my kids. It's almost kind of like, been there, done that, loved it, happy with where it's at, and I'm okay to, close it. I've been asked several times to do some shows, but I'm like, I'm sorry, I want to focus more on my kids. So I think my last big adult, it's so weird to say adult production, but just more like a full production, like a actual show would be Into the Woods. But then I thought, you know what? I need to do one last thing before I completely stop, because I want my kids to see their mom on stage before I close this chapter. So I agreed to one last show, which was Three Little Pigs with SRT. Both my kids came to see it. Oh my gosh, it was the best thing ever, because that's all I've ever wanted, for my kids, just to see mama on stage. And of course, the young one's always going to be like, that's normal. That's all I know. But, it's so nice to hear my kids go, that's mommy. Hi, mommy, on stage. And let them see, this is what mama used to do. And it's now closed. Or I'm about to close it, or whatever.
Okay, so we're closing the book.
Yeah.
If we're going to do a summary of the book, what is the best show? Or it can be in any way you like. What's the best show for you that you'll leave going, fondest memories of doing that?
Yeah.
And maybe a challenging show as well.
Yeah.
Let's do the flip side of both.
There's so many though. Oh my gosh. Where do I draw the line? But I mean, obviously the two biggest ones that means a lot to me, it was Little Voice, and most challenging would be End of the Rainbow. Because again, I'm playing not only someone that has lived, but also playing someone who's much older than I am, what I was. So that was, in terms, most challenging. Little Voice was also challenging in a way where different. I think Little Voice was also very therapeutic. So I keep talking about therapy, right? And I always feel that every show that I've done, it's sort of reset is not the right word, but it heals me a little bit. Does that make sense? So I feel like I've healed and healed and healed to the point where I'm like, I'm okay. I actually feel okay. So I don't think I've ever seeked, working where it's like, I want to do this because of the applause. I want to do this because of I am the most awkwardly social, I'm so bad. I have social anxiety. I do not like doing interviews, meeting people in those galas, and it freaks me out.
Really?
Yeah,
Nice.
nobody, of course, everyone's gonna look at me like, Mina, really? Yeah, absolutely. I don't like any of that stuff, because I always feel like I'm not answering the question. I mess up. I misinterpret what people are saying. My social cues are terrible. So that just puts me in it's not my comfort zone.
A lot of people are like that. Maggie Smith.
Oh yeah,
She hated publicity things. I mean, you watch her Graham Norton interview, her famous Graham. You can tell she does not want to be there.
Yes, no. I think it's to me that never was the drive. I've always wanted to hide. I love the craft. I do not like the attention. So I never liked, the aftermath of things. I just wanted to do my job and just go home. I never, met people after the show. I don't mingle with others, and people might say that, oh my gosh, she's so arrogant, blah, blah. No, it's just anxiety. To me, it's pure anxiety. So I just rush home every day. I just want to be with my husband. I want to be on my couch. I want to be with my kids. But yeah, it was never for that. So for me, it was more of a healing process every time I do a show. And I think the biggest healing that I've been through, I guess, was definitely with Little Voice. And I think because I had such a tumultuous relationship with my own mother, I had to do that on stage with Denise, who played my mother. So it was mimicking real life, which was kind of almost, it hits home a little too close. So I was very vulnerable. But because I did that, it made me, I don't know, it's it's therapy. It really was therapy. Got that out. I can't really do that in real life with my own mother, but I got the opportunity to do that as this character. So I thought that was so satisfying and so therapeutic for me.
That's a technique in therapy, isn't it? So they say, what would you say to that person if they're in front of you right now? And
that's a Stanislavski technique, right? Yeah, exactly. So and that's exactly it, because in therapy, it's all about getting things out of you, that you can't do in real life. And as little voice, I got to do that, you know, and it's painful but beautiful at the same time, you know, like we all, you know, not all of us have the opportunity to grow up in a, you know, loving family. Didn't get enough love as children. That's why we're all actors, right? Words of Roxy Hart in Chicago. But yeah, I mean, it's the truth of it, you know. So a lot of us end up in showbiz because, you know, we are constantly seeking for something that we never found as children, you know, whatever it is, a sense of belonging, attention from parents, all that stuff, everything, or being different from other people. I don't know, you know, and that's why we thrive in this, I guess, art, the arts, you know.
I do have a question. It's just popped to my mind now.
Yeah.
You have performed on stage. You're a teacher, so you teach performing arts.
Yep.
You've also played a major part in producing shows, directing shows, and things like that. Which of the three has been the most rewarding?
Rewarding. I think they each have their own. Like I would put them on the same level. I don't know. That's such a tough question because they each have their own challenges. They're each fulfilling in their own way. So, like I said, as an actor, you know, that you get to fulfill that healing and that therapeutic experience that you get. As a teacher, it's watching your students get it, you know, and like, oh my gosh, I've done my job. And then as a producer director, it's almost kind of like, whoa, like this thing that started in my brain is now here for others to see. That's crazy. Like it like how did this become this, you know? So they're all fulfilling in different ways. So I it's hard for me to pick.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I think for me, you know, it's so even though we're closing the book on this chapter, it's so nice because knowing you for so many years as well, and like genuinely seeing you happy now, you know, and saying that, you know, all of that has given you the therapy and kind of closure of that time in your life, and you're ready to move into that next stage. I know we are not going to discuss in too much detail what that next stage is, but give us a sense of what you're looking forward to in this new chapter of your life as you leave Singapore and leave all of this wonderful book behind you. Like, what's next?
Just being with my family. I'm already doing that a little bit, but I think it's being with my family in the right environment. So I'm looking forward to some peace and quiet, you know, away from the hustle and bustle of life, I guess, if you will, you know, hopefully a little bit away from city living, city life, and just so cliche to say, but enjoy the simple things. You know, just like sitting in the oh my gosh, it brings me back to this character that I played in Company, Marta. There was a line in the show and I said, you know what I want to do? I'm going to go to a bar and sit at the end of the counter and drink and cry. This time I just want to sit in the middle of a forest, watch my kids play by the river and sit and cry. You know, different priorities, but same, you know, I guess, I don't know, same theme, I can't find that word, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I guess I'm looking forward to that. I sound so old.
Not at all. I think, because we're millennials, aren't we? I think millennials are more and more appreciating, again, because of the hustle and bustle, as you call it, and how, as you call it, and the stimulation that we are receiving every minute of every day. I think millennials are starting to think, actually, the Gen X's, the boomers, they had it better than us. Like, I do want some peace and quiet every now and again. Yeah. And as I'm approaching middle age, I'm starting to feel like that now. Yeah. And I'm really appreciating just the...
exactly. Like to just soak in what's happening rather than constantly being so busy.
Yes.
I find myself, and I don't know if maybe this is just me, but I find myself trying to escape all of this by just burying myself into my phone because I do not want to see what's happening around me anymore. It's like my way of escaping until I finally get out of here. You know what I'm saying? But you don't want to do that. I want to be able to walk and take in everything and be mindful about what's going on around me, you know, rather than hiding and I'm hiding because I'm anxious, and I'm anxious because I'm not in the right environment. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does entirely.
So it's really finding that new environment, and who knows, maybe it might not be the right environment. We'll search for another one, but it's for now it's looking good.
Yes,
It's looking
yes.
good, but you never know because we've never been there. So
Right.
we'll see. Yeah,
Oh, well, I really hope it works out.
I really hope so
really
too.
do.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, you've got a lot to be proud of over the last few years. Even in that challenging environment, it's been a roller coaster, I know. And the work you've done on your career is just outstanding. You know, I think most people have really good things to say about the performances you've done. And I think whatever this new chapter is, I think you definitely feel ready for it, and I think it's going to bring you lots of good things. And I wish you all the best for what's coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming, darling, and
course.
all the love to you and your family.
Thank you for having
all
me.
the best.
Oh,
All
thank
the
you.
best to you.
And as they say, que sera, sera.
Love it.
Well, there we are then, TJ. The fabulous Mina Kaye. What a story.
Absolutely. I think she was so honest
Yes.
and refreshingly honest, because I think quite often we can be like, yes, the theatre industry is lovely. And, you know, we have had chats on here where, you know, not everything's rosy. But I think Mina offers that very different perspective and really interesting story. And, you know, she's had such an amazing career, like truly amazing career. And is really, you can tell she's ready to wrap that up and
Yes.
start that next chapter.
I certainly got that feeling. There is, and we've all experienced it, where you know the time was right to go.
Yeah.
Like for me, the time was right to hang up my life jacket.
Yeah.
For you, the time was right to hang up your director's cap. And it feels okay. Like you're not letting people down. Sure, some people will be disappointed, but you're doing what's right for you. It feels right. And I we could just see that she's ready to move on.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing for her. I mean, of course, we'll miss her, but it you can tell she feels it's right.
Absolutely. And for me, I think I think that, as you said, for us, this year has been a year of change for us as well. And taking those steps into the unknown when something's been going so well, but perceivingly so well, and you hit your dreams. And for me, I was at the same point as well. You know, I'd been directing and acting and doing all of these things, and now moving into education. But I'm a year into my new journey and couldn't be happier. And it wasn't that I was unhappy before at all. I also, a year ago, thought I couldn't be happier. But sometimes life takes those turns and offers you a new chance to prioritize different things. And I think what's so lovely is she's prioritizing family.
Yes,
You know, and
yes.
prioritizing mental health. And
Yes,
prioritizing, putting yourself first. And we do get lost early in our careers, don't we, with passions and ambitions.
Yes.
And, you know, we get very tunnel visioned of, I want to achieve this. So, yeah, good on her.
Yes, I mean, that's my story, where I worked and worked and worked to the top, and once I got there, actually, this is horrible. And my mental health suffered, and I missed being away from the classroom, and I've been back in the classroom for the past year, and just like she's in a happy place on the stage and the cathartic experience that she has being on stage, I'm in my happy place in the classroom. And there's something to be said that once you've found your passion and your happy place within that passion, you've only got one life. Stick with it. Stick with it.
And you know, what she was saying about the Singapore context, that's really hard to do here, because it's not what is the traditional, it's not what the traditional, this is what your life should be story is kind of advertised as. You know, you're supposed to go higher and higher in your career, and you're supposed to you know, choose a traditional career that's going to make you lots of money and that sort of thing. So it is hard to go against the grain. And, you know, you've got, at some point, you kind of have to step back and go, wait. Society is taking me in this direction and saying I should be like this and I should have this. I don't want that. And I'm happy if I do this, which is adjacent to that. And, you guys live your life. This is my life. And that's really clear in how she's kind of described her journey and where she's going next. So I think she's going to have, I think it's all good things.
I really appreciated what she said about education. And there is a place for arts in education. Not everyone is an academic. I'm sorry. No, not everyone is an academic. Not everyone is a Stephen Hawking or an Einstein or Newton or whoever else. Some are your Ian McKellens, your Maggie Smiths, your Andrew Marcos, your Ivan Hengs. They are creatives. And there is absolutely a place for them. And education should nurture that.
Absolutely. I also think that I also don't want to think that suddenly a road of being a performer is the right direction for you. If even if it's your safe space, the professional world is cruel. So I think what Mina has is not only she found that safe space and that therapy through drama, she also had that very intense dedication to craft and ability and talent that made that a viable career choice and a successful career choice. There are some people that is not going to be the right journey for you, even if you enjoy it, but you can tailor those skills in other ways. Maybe actually explore, if you still want to be in the theatre world, costume design, or explore producing, or explore so many different roles within the theatre industry that can still bring you that inspiration and that creativity and that thinking differently. It doesn't have to be the academics necessarily. And it's a good reminder, especially in the Singapore context, that it can be just as successful a career, but you do have to work at it. And I think Mina's a little bit humble in sometimes how she talks. There is a lot of hard work that goes into those roles, and a lot of dedication to making sure the craft is there. And I've seen that on both sides. I've worked alongside with her as an actor, and I've worked as a director. There is a lot that goes into that. That's not just something that, I think differently and I'm going to be able to do that.
I really like what you say about the other opportunities that are there. And I've witnessed that. I've known dancers that have become cruise directors. I've known dancers that have become choreographers. Actors that have become directors, and it's not just the stage. You don't have to be a performer on the stage, and that's your only chance. There are other avenues you can go where you can have, as we discussed in a previous pod, second or third careers within the same industry. And I love that.
And what I love is now, actually, after doing several of these interviews, the small interwoven links that are now coming through. But everyone's journey is so unique. So hopefully, listeners, as you're going through these podcasts, you're maybe associating really well with somebody, and maybe you're like, I don't get that. But there is commonality through all of those journeys. And I'm really enjoying this. So I think we learn every single time we do one of these interviews.
Definitely.
About ourselves, about the industry, about different people. It really is the human story behind the arts, which is great.
Right, my tea's gone cold, love. Shall we leave it there?
Yeah, time to wrap up this episode.
So it's a cheerio from us. We'll be back soon.
And a ta-ra from me.
And to anyone working in Singapore theatre for the next month,
break a leg.